welcome you to the Deep Dive. Today, we're plunging into a topic that is, well, fundamentally reshaping the landscape of education and learning. Academic integrity in the age of artificial intelligence. It's not just about information overload anymore. It's really about how AI impacts the very act of acquiring and demonstrating knowledge. We are truly in a transformative moment.
Indeed. And our deep dive today is anchored in some really powerful insights drawn from the opposite of cheating, teaching for integrity in the age of AI. There's a forthcoming book by Tricia, Bertram, Gallant, and David A. Rettinger.
Okay.
And this work, it offers a profound rethinking of how we approach academic honesty. It urges us to move beyond, the traditional policing methods towards cultivating a genuine love for learning.
A love for learning, not just compliance.
Exactly. It's a fundamental paradigm shift, really. It asks us to reconsider the very purpose of education itself.
Our mission today, then, is to distill the most vital and, importantly, actionable insights from this material, especially for you college instructors out there managing online classes.
Yeah, that's a key audience.
But really, regardless of your role, whether you're an educator, maybe a student grappling with these new tools, or simply someone curious about how we maintain integrity in this, rapidly evolving digital world, you'll find practical strategies and compelling perspectives here. Okay, let's unpack this crucial conversation. So when we talk about academic integrity, the traditional approach, it often brings to mind this image of a constant battle of surveillance, right? Instructors trying to catch students cheating.
Right, the gotcha mentality.
It often feels like a perpetual game of cat and mouse, frankly. And for everyone involved, students and faculty alike, it can be utterly exhausting, disheartening even. But the core argument of this book suggests that this isn't just inefficient, it's fundamentally counterproductive.
Absolutely. The authors lay out a really compelling case that an over-reliance on punitive measures, on that constant vigilance and, the threat of punishment, it ultimately creates a classroom climate steeped in distrust.
Distrust, that's a strong word.
It is. Because when students feel perpetually watched, or if their main motivation for upholding integrity is simply to avoid getting caught, that innate curiosity, that sort of intrinsic drive to genuinely learn and explore, it can be suffocated.
Yeah, it kills the joy of it.
It really can. What's truly fascinating here, and I think foundational to their entire philosophy, is David Rettinger's powerful statement. He says, the opposite of cheating is learning. It's not cheating. It's the thing that we're all trying to do.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, say that again. The opposite of cheating is learning.
Exactly. It's not just clever phrasing. It's a profound reorientation. It's a shift in mindset from merely preventing misconduct to actively nurturing environments where genuine deep learning naturally flourishes.
Okay.
We're moving from a reactive sort of defensive posture to a proactive, growth-oriented one.
That makes so much sense. So it's not merely about stopping a negative behavior like cheating, but actively championing and promoting the positive one, which is learning. This very first crucial insight really centers on shifting our focus from that exhausting pursuit of catching cheaters to truly fostering genuine learning. And I imagine for any dedicated instructor, that sounds like a far more fulfilling and, frankly, sustainable goal.
It truly is.
Yeah.
The negative classroom impact of an environment dominated by surveillance is, it's palpable and far-reaching. It breeds this pervasive sense of distrust. Like we said, students might come to perceive instructors more as, wardens or police officers than as supportive guides or facilitators of knowledge.
Yeah, not mentors.
Not mentors, exactly. And this distrust, in turn, inevitably leads to student disengagement. They become less invested in the intrinsic value of the learning process itself and maybe more focused on simply navigating the system without getting caught or finding the quickest path to a grade.
Just jumping through hoops.
Right. The ultimate goal, as the authors emphasize, isn't just the absence of cheating. It's the cultivation of genuine, deep, and meaningful learning. The emphasis fundamentally shifts from don't do this bad thing to let's achieve this positive thing together, creating a shared sense of purpose.
And for college instructors, particularly those managing large online classes where that cat and mouse game can feel even more abstract and maybe frustrating, how do they actually apply this philosophy in practice? How do they redesign their courses, their assessments, to cultivate this kind of curiosity and genuine relevance?
Well, it starts fundamentally with redesigning assessments. The goal is to move decisively towards what the authors call authentic assessment.
Authentic assessment. Okay.
This approach emphasizes the process of learning over just the final product. Instead of focusing only on a single, often high-stakes outcome, like, say, a final exam or a traditional research paper, The emphasis is placed on the journey of learning, discovery, skill development.
The process matters.
The process really matters.
Yeah.
It's about explicitly connecting every single assessment to clear learning outcomes in a way that truly resonates with students, demonstrating the real-world relevance and practical application of what they are doing. This crucial connection helps students understand why they're being asked to do something, which is, a powerful motivator for engagement and integrity.
Could you give us a concrete example, like how might this look in an actual college class, especially maybe an online one, where traditional assessments might seem easily circumvented by AI?
Certainly. David Rettinger offers an excellent illustrative example of authentic assessment design through what he terms choice-based deliverables.
Choice-based deliverables. Interesting.
Yeah. He describes how he tells his students, and I'm sort of paraphrasing from the source material here, he says something like, your audience is, well, you can pick your audience, but it's not an academic audience. You just have to write a proposal at the beginning of the term telling you what your topic is and what the deliverable is.
Wow, okay. So right away, a lot of student agency.
An incredible amount of agency and ownership over their work. Instead of being confined to, say, a traditional essay that an AI could potentially churn out pretty easily, they are empowered to propose multi-format projects.
Like what?
Well, perhaps creating a podcast explaining complex concepts, or maybe designing an art project that visually represents a theory, or writing a policy critique for a specific governmental body, or even preparing a professional presentation for a targeted non-academic audience.
So lots of options.
Lots of options. The key here is that it explicitly connects course concepts to real-world contexts that are deeply relevant to their individual interests and potential career paths.
That sounds incredibly empowering for students. So if a student is genuinely interested in the material, they can explore it in a way that actually resonates with their unique skills and passions, rather than just mechanically jumping through some prescribed hoop.
Exactly.
It seems like it naturally channels their motivation towards authentic engagement.
It really does. Consider a student in, say, a cognitive psychology course. Instead of being required to write a standard research paper that might feel vulnerable to AI generation, this student, who perhaps manages a peer tutoring program on campus.
Okay.
They could apply cognitive psychology principles to create a comprehensive, evidence-based training guide for their tutors.
Oh, that's brilliant. Very practical.
It's a genuinely real-world application, deeply relevant to their personal experience and responsibilities. It not only demonstrates their understanding of the course material, but also their ability to apply those concepts in a practical, meaningful, and highly personalized way that, frankly, AI would really struggle to replicate effectively.
Right, because AI doesn't run a tutoring program.
Precisely.
Yeah.
It shows a depth of learning that goes far beyond just surface-level recall or synthesis of existing text.
That's a huge shift from simply regurgitating information. And it seems like it would be much harder for AI to replicate that kind of personalized applied learning because AI lacks that specific lived experience or, access to a student's unique, unindexed personal context.
It absolutely is. AI, at least in its current state, it really struggles with genuine originality tied to individual embodied experience or specific real-time classroom discussions.
Mm-hmm.
It can access and synthesize vast amounts of pre-existing data, sure, but it doesn't have personal experiences. It doesn't have the ability to participate in and integrate the unique unfolding dynamics of a particular live classroom interaction or a specific campus role.
Right.
This inherent limitation makes assessments that demand that kind of personal connection or real-time application far more resistant to generic AI outputs. And another powerful approach to foster that agency and iteration is through iterative drafting.
Okay, so multiple drafts.
Yes. Instead of a single high-stakes submission right at the end, students are encouraged, maybe even required, to submit multiple drafts and receive ongoing constructive feedback.
Feedback for improvement, not just judgment.
Exactly. This feedback isn't just for a final grade. It's explicitly for revision and improvement. This process promotes mastery over simply getting it right on the first try. David Rettinger even mentions giving students a couple of hall passes to redo an assignment that they're not satisfied with.
Hall passes, like in high school.
Sort of, but the message it sends is very clear and powerful. That growth, learning, and continuous improvement are valued far more than a single high-stakes performance. That naturally reduces the incentive to take shortcuts or cheat.
Makes sense. Less pressure.
Less pressure. Similarly, low-stakes quizzes, given frequently and formatively throughout the term, significantly reduce that pressure cooker feeling and incentivize consistent learning. By breaking down the learning into manageable, less intimidating chunks, students are encouraged to engage steadily, discouraging that last-minute cramming and the temptation for shortcuts that comes with it.
So it's about making the learning process itself the reward, not just fixating on the final grade, and giving students the space to learn from mistakes without, immediate high-stakes consequences.
Precisely. And extending that concept, reflection and metacognition are vital tools here.
Metacognition, thinking about thinking.
Exactly. Regularly having students write reflections on their learning process, not just what they learned, but how they learned it, the strategies they found effective, the challenges they faced. This deepens their ownership and understanding of the material.
What would a prompt look like for that?
Oh, effective prompts could be things like, describe a moment of confusion you had with this topic and how you worked through it, or maybe what was the most surprising insight you gained from this week's reading and how did your perspective shift?
Okay.
This active self-assessment transforms them into active participants in their own learning journey, which naturally fosters a stronger sense of integrity. It's their learning, they own it.
Right.
And this fundamental shift in assessment, it isn't just about the assignments themselves. It's deeply, deeply rooted in the relationships built within the classroom. That's a critical next step. So if we connect this to the bigger picture, trust becomes absolutely central to cultivating a classroom culture where academic integrity truly thrives.
Trust, again, seems key.
It's everything. It's about creating an environment of genuine mutual respect between the instructor and the students, and just as importantly, among the students themselves. Without that robust foundation of trust, any policy, any surveillance measure, any attempt to deter cheating is likely to be viewed with suspicion, maybe resentment.
Yeah, like us versus them.
Exactly. Its effectiveness will be severely limited. It becomes an adversarial relationship, which, completely undermines the very purpose of education.
So it's not just about rules and consequences on a piece of paper. It's about the entire dynamic, the atmosphere of the classroom. This insight, then, our second one, is truly about building trust and strong instructor-student relationships. How does this translate into actionable strategies for an instructor? What can they do?
Well, it really comes down to fostering relationships grounded in mutual respect, transparent communication, and a shared sense of purpose. When students feel genuinely seen, respected, and believe that their instructor is truly invested in their success as learners, not just as grade earners, they are far less likely to compromise their integrity.
They feel accountable in a good way.
In a good way, yeah.
Yeah.
They feel a sense of loyalty, maybe, and a desire to meet those positive expectations. The key principles here are respectful communication, clearly articulated expectations, and genuine empathy. It might sound straightforward, but its profound impact on student behavior, it really cannot be overstated.
That makes profound sense. If you feel like your instructor is genuinely on your side, guiding you, you're inherently more likely to engage authentically, maybe seek their help when you struggle, rather than looking for shortcuts.
Absolutely.
So what exactly does this idea of communicating with, not at, students look like in practice?
Tricia Bertram Gallant advises, and I find this exceptionally insightful. She says, communicate with your students. And notice I say with and not at your students.
With, not at. Okay.
It's a critical distinction, especially when we're talking about AI policies. It means moving beyond simply announcing rules or dictating terms from a syllabus to engaging in a genuine open dialogue.
How, though?
For instance, Gallant suggests faculty should go through your syllabus together and look at the assessments that are upcoming. Having students talk with you and with each other can be very powerful.
So discussing the syllabus with them.
Yes. This approach of student-faculty policy co-creation, it fosters collective ownership of the class policies and expectations. They feel like shared norms, rather than just rigid, imposed mandates dropped from on high.
Right.
You could even start the term by surveying students, maybe anonymously, on their prior experiences with AI. How are they using it? How do they think it could help their learning? What concerns do they have? This initial understanding then becomes the basis for a collaborative discussion about AI policies.
So you ground the policy in their reality.
Exactly. It leads to far greater buy-in.
That's a truly powerful idea, making the students active participants in the policymaking process for their own learning environment. It frames academic integrity as a shared responsibility, not just the teacher's job to enforce.
It absolutely is. And another critical strategy is providing transparent rationales for everything.
The why.
The why. Instructors should clearly explain the why behind every assignment, every policy, every deadline. Don't just state, you have to do this 10-page research paper due by Friday. Explain how that paper connects directly to specific learning goals, how it will develop critical thinking skills, and how it might benefit the student in their broader academic or professional journey.
So they see the value.
When students understand the value and purpose behind the guidelines, it fosters genuine buy-in and really reduces the impulse to circumvent them. An open dialogue is also essential. Establishing a classroom norm where difficult conversations about academic honesty, including, instances of suspected cheating or mistakes, can occur without immediate shame or blame is crucial.
Creating psychological safety.
Precisely. It creates a psychological safety net, allowing students to learn from missteps rather than just hiding them or feeling like they have to immediately defend themselves. Personalized feedback is another powerful trust builder.
Going beyond just a grade.
Way beyond. Providing detailed, personalized responses to assignments rather than just generic comments or a letter grade builds strong rapport and genuinely demonstrates your investment in that student's success. It signals that you care about their learning journey, not just their final performance.
Like those hall passes you mentioned.
Exactly. Rettinger's approach of offering hall passes for redoing assignments is a perfect example of this. It reinforces that growth is valued over punishment, reinforcing the message that learning is the priority.
Okay.
And lastly, active listening is key. Instructors can use anonymous surveys, discussion forums, even brief check-ins to genuinely seek student input on course design, difficulties they might be facing, policy interpretations. This isn't just a formality, it's about truly hearing and valuing their perspectives, which further solidifies that foundation of trust and respect.
And it sounds like this foundation of trust then enables clear ongoing communication about specific evolving challenges like integration of AI. It feels like you can't even begin to effectively address AI's role in the classroom without this bedrock of mutual respect and understanding already firmly in place.
Okay, here's where it gets really interesting because AI has just completely changed the game. Before AI, the battle was, primarily against plagiarism or maybe contract cheating,
right,
where students would pay someone else to do their work.
Right, those are the big concerns. Yeah. Now, we have tools capable of generating remarkably coherent, complex, and seemingly original text in seconds. The book profoundly highlights how rapidly generative AI is evolving and why instructors need to adapt in real time. This isn't a static problem you solve once, is it?
Not at all.
It's a moving target, which I think is incredibly daunting for many educators.
Exactly. And the core prevention strategies in this dynamic AI landscape, they involve clear, proactive communication, developing flexible policies, and most importantly, designing assessments that remain relevant and meaningful despite these rapid technological advancements.
Proactive adaptation.
Right. It's about proactive adaptation rather than reactive panic or, trying to simply ban tools that are becoming ubiquitous. We can't just stick our heads in the sand and pretend these tools don't exist because our students are already using them, often without clear guidance.
Yeah, the genie's out of the bottle.
It really is.
So, the third key insight is to develop explicit and flexible AI policies, and crucially, to do so in collaboration with students. This sounds like a direct extension of the trust building we just discussed.
It absolutely is. Given the, frankly, breathtakingly rapid evolution of generative AI, real-time adaptation isn't just helpful, it's essential. What was considered acceptable or not acceptable last semester might be entirely different this semester, and students need to understand that dynamic.
So how do you set policy explicitly?
Well, one practical strategy is to start the course, as we mentioned, by surveying students about their existing experience and comfort with AI tools. Ask them, how are you currently using these tools? How do you think AI could potentially help your learning? Where do you see potential pitfalls or ethical dilemmas?
Get their perspective first.
Yes. This understanding then becomes the critical foundation for collaboratively building your class's AI policy. It grounds your policy in the realities of your students' lives, not just abstract fears.
That's brilliant. It's not just the instructor saying, here are the rules, adapt. It's a conversation that acknowledges their experiences and helps them develop critical judgment about the tools.
Precisely. And then clarity is paramount. Instructors must clarify specifically for each assignment. You can use AI on this assignment for these specific reasons, but you absolutely cannot on that assignment. And here's precisely why.
The why again?
Always the why. The sources indicate that students consistently reported that less ambiguity leads to significantly less unintentional misconduct. When the rules are vague, students are far more likely to make assumptions or even just experiment, which can inadvertently lead to integrity violations they didn't intend.
So clear boundaries reduce accidental missteps.
Significantly. A powerful example suggested by the authors is a classroom simulation where students and faculty collaboratively analyze various assessment examples, maybe old assignments, maybe hypothetical ones, and then debate the ethical implications of AI use in each scenario.
Oh, like a case study approach.
Exactly. This process of collective reasoning helps shape collective class rules, making them feel much more like shared norms and mutual agreements rather than arbitrary imposed mandates. This fosters genuine buy-in.
So it's about building understanding and buy-in from the ground up, moving away from a purely punitive mindset to one of shared responsibility, which leads us quite naturally to the fourth insight, connecting all policies and assessments directly to transparent learning outcomes.
Indeed. It is absolutely crucial to explain the fundamental why behind every tool, every policy, every assignment. You must show students how these elements directly align with the course's overarching learning objectives.
Make the connection explicit.
Explicitly. If students understand that a particular policy or assessment method is designed to genuinely help them achieve a specific learning goal, they are exponentially more likely to respect and adhere to it. This understanding fosters deep student buy-in. Transparent communication is key here. Instructors need to clearly and repeatedly communicate about AI use, about cheating, about the broader principles of academic integrity, always linking every rule directly back to a clear learning goal.
Keep reinforcing it.
Keep reinforcing it. This continuous open dialogue reinforces the profound purpose of academic integrity beyond just compliance or rule following.
And what about the assessments themselves? How do you ensure they truly measure that genuine learning and critical thinking, especially with AI now so readily available? It feels like the temptation to just throw AI at an assignment might be overwhelming for some students if the task doesn't feel meaningful.
That's where rigorous assessment alignment comes in. You must regularly review all your assignments to ensure they genuinely measure those stated learning objectives. It's absolutely crucial to ditch any busy work.
Busy work. The bane of students everywhere.
Exactly. Assignments that feel arbitrary or aren't clearly tied to meaningful outcomes. David Rettinger points out, quite emphatically, that students love doing things that mean something to them and they don't like busy work.
Makes sense.
If an assignment feels like a hoop to jump through, something to simply get done, students are inherently more likely to seek shortcuts, including leveraging AI. So make sure every single assignment serves a clear, compelling pedagogical purpose that resonates with students.
And grading.
Make your rubrics explicit, particularly when assignments allow for flexible deliverables like those choice-based projects we discussed. When students understand exactly how they'll be evaluated, the specific criteria for success, it reduces perceptions of arbitrary judgment and incentivizes them to focus their effort on genuine learning and high-quality work rather than just trying to guess what the instructor wants.
That's a powerful point. If an assignment is perceived as just busy work, then using AI to complete it might seem like a perfectly logical, efficient solution for a busy student. But if it's meaningful, relevant, tied to their own learning and growth, that changes the calculation entirely. Now, for the fifth insight. Redesigning assessments to make AI shortcuts either unhelpful or easily detectable. This is about building tasks that AI simply can't do well, or where its output would immediately stand out.
Right. The key here is to structure assignments such that AI shortcuts would be either demonstrably unhelpful for the student's actual learning, or so easily detectable that attempting them just isn't worth the risk.
How do you do that?
This often means moving far beyond generic prompts that AI models are heavily trained on. For practical application, consider requiring personal narrative or reflection. Integrate class-specific data analysis, data AI wouldn't have access to because it's unique to your course discussions or activities.
Things AI can't know.
Exactly. Or utilize iterative submissions that build sequentially over time. For example, if a student has to submit a research question, then an annotated bibliography, then an outline, then drafts, all leading up to a final paper.
You see the progression.
You see the progression. And each stage shows a unique intellectual development tied to their learning journey, your specific class discussions. An AI-generated final product dropped in at the end would likely stand out as inconsistent, lacking that personal progression, or missing the nuances from earlier human-generated stages.
Right, it wouldn't fit the history.
Exactly. AI, as we discussed, struggles with genuine originality tied to individual, lived experience, or specific real-time classroom interactions.
So we're not just trying to detect AI after the fact, but actively designing around its current capabilities and limitations. Which leads quite optimistically to the sixth insight. Leveraging generative AI as a learning tool, not just viewing it as a threat, this shifts the dynamics significantly.
Exactly. Rather than an outright ban, which can feel like an impossible and perhaps even counterproductive stance in this era, some assignments can intentionally incorporate AI to actually deepen student learning.
How'd that work?
Well, for instance, you could design an assignment where students are asked to use an AI to generate, say, an essay outline or a solution to a particular type of problem. Then, the core of the assignment becomes asking them to critically compare that AI-generated output with human reasoning or maybe with established scholarly work in your field.
So the AI output is the starting point for analysis.
Right. They might be asked to comment critically on the differences, analyze the strengths and weaknesses of the AI's response, identify where the AI output falls short of nuanced human understanding, or even fact-check its claims.
Ah, okay.
This kind of critical engagement can dramatically deepen their insight into the subject matter itself, sharpen their critical thinking skills, and foster a more sophisticated understanding of AI's capabilities, limitations, and inherent biases.
So AI becomes a subject of study in itself, a tool for analysis and deeper intellectual inquiry, rather than just something to be feared or strictly policed. That's a fascinating reframe.
Absolutely. And another vital application is faculty modeling ethical AI use directly in the classroom.
Lead by example.
Lead by example. Instructors can demonstrate transparent data attribution when they use AI, maybe for generating discussion prompts or summarizing complex readings. They can show how to verify AI-generated information, how to critically evaluate AI outputs for accuracy and bias.
Show, don't just tell.
Exactly. By proactively doing so, they provide a powerful example, encouraging students to follow similar best practices and integrate AI responsibly into their own learning processes. This kind of direct, transparent demonstration shifts the narrative from AI being purely a cheating tool to a powerful, albeit complex, potential assistant.
Right.
This nuanced pedagogical approach signals to students that the goal isn't to ignore AI, but to understand and master it ethically and effectively as a professional tool, which, they'll need to do anyway. And beyond individual policies and assessments, the collective student environment, the peer culture, plays a massive, often underestimated role in shaping behavior. This raises an incredibly important question for us to consider. How do students' perceptions of what their classmates are doing influence their own choices regarding academic integrity? If we connect this to the bigger picture, peer influence is an incredibly powerful, almost undeniable force in human behavior.
Absolutely.
We are, by our very nature, social creatures, and what we perceive as the norm among our peers, often unconsciously or sometimes consciously, guides our own actions and decisions.
So the seventh insight is about understanding and positively influencing peer culture. It sounds like if students believe everyone else is cheating to keep up, they might feel almost compelled to do the same, just to remain competitive or not fall behind. That's a really challenging dynamic, isn't it?
That's precisely the concern that the authors highlight. Students' perceptions of what their classmates are doing strongly shape their own behaviors. If they internalize the belief that cheating is rampant, or that others are using AI shortcuts without consequence, they are far more likely to consider it themselves. This kind of insidious, "I need to cheat to keep up" mentality can take hold.
A race to the bottom.
It creates a self-reinforcing vicious cycle that erodes integrity for everyone. The key, then, is to strategically leverage peer collaboration, rather than simply policing it, instead of broadly forbidding all forms of student collaboration, which is often counterintuitive to how students naturally learn anyway.
Yeah, they work together outside class regardless.
Exactly. Instructors should channel students' natural tendency to work together into structured, ethical peer review and group work activities. This turns a potential problem into a powerful learning asset.
How does that actually work in practice? How do you turn something that could be a potential integrity issue into a productive learning opportunity?
Well, there are several powerful examples provided in the book. One effective strategy is incorporating structured peer review workshops into assignments.
Okay, peer review.
But not just informally exchanging papers. You design specific guidelines. Perhaps they use a rubric you provide to evaluate their peers' work based on how well it integrates course concepts, how effectively it addresses the assignment prompt, maybe even how it applies to a real-world problem.
So it's guided and focused.
Guided and focused. This isn't just about catching typos, it's about students learning to think critically about the material through the lens of another's work, and learning to give and receive feedback in a constructive, transparent way. It shifts the perception of collaboration from maybe splitting work or getting answers to deepening understanding together, all under your expert guidance. Another approach is to have students solve complex, open-ended assignments in teams.
Group projects, but meaningful ones.
Meaningful ones, yes. These aren't simple tasks that can be easily divided and conquered dishonestly. These are multifaceted problems that genuinely require collective brainstorming, research, synthesis, maybe even debate. This allows them to learn cooperation as an ethical norm under instructor guidance, rather than seeing group work primarily as an opportunity to divide and conquer, perhaps dishonestly. Faculty can also strategically share success stories. Highlight instances where students genuinely benefited from choosing integrity, perhaps even in challenging circumstances. This creates positive role models and reinforces that honesty is valued, respected, and ultimately rewarded within the classroom culture.
So actively celebrating integrity and ethical choices rather than just punishing its absence, that's a fundamental shift in emphasis, isn't it?
Exactly. Furthermore, if misconduct does unfortunately occur, the class can confidentially debrief cheating incidents.
Debrief them.
Well, not about shaming individuals, of course. It's about discussing why it might have happened. Perhaps there was ambiguity in the assignment or extreme external pressure, and then discussing how the course culture can better support ethical choices moving forward for everyone. This transforms a negative incident into a collective learning opportunity.
Okay.
Student honor pledges are also mentioned as a potentially powerful tool. Having students collectively craft and maybe sign classroom honor pledges at the start of the term can help them define their own standards and consequences. This increases their sense of ownership over integrity in their community.
Their pledge, not just the university's.
Right. David Rettinger notes, giving them a sense that they have control over their situation is a great opportunity to give them a chance to be social, collaborative. This sense of agency empowers them to uphold ethical standards. And finally, there's social proofing. Instructors can regularly collect and share anonymous aggregate data. Things like, here's how many students successfully followed the AI guidelines on the last assignment, or here's the percentage of students who submitted fully original work.
Show that honesty is the norm.
Exactly. It strengthens the perception of honesty as the actual norm rather than the exception, actively combating that dangerous everyone else is doing it misconception.
That's incredibly important. If the prevailing perception is that integrity is the accepted normal standard, it makes it significantly easier for individuals to uphold it. Now, the eighth insight deals with what happens when integrity is compromised, responding to suspected misuse with empathy and education. This feels like a delicate balance.
Instructor response in these moments is absolutely pivotal. The authors emphasize that cheating profoundly erodes trust between faculty and students. And unfortunately, even a single incident can sometimes lead instructors to abandon otherwise effective assignments or, as we discussed, increase surveillance, which we know is often counterproductive.
Yeah, it can feel like a betrayal.
It can. It's a challenging situation, often full of emotional responses for the instructor, but the approach matters immensely. Rettinger also states, and this is a crucial point maybe for students listening to grasp, cheating is not a victimless crime, even at the undergraduate level, because the employer is going to think about that time where you showed up and you didn't know what you were doing.
Highlighting the real-world consequences.
Yes, it highlights the broader real-world implications beyond just a single course grade. It's not simply about avoiding a punishment. It's about genuine preparation for life, for professional competence, and for one's future reputation and the reputation of the institution.
So the stakes are high, not just for the student's grade, but for their long-term learning and professional development. But the response from the instructor still needs to be thoughtful and educational, not just punitive. That can be a hard line to walk when you feel that trust has been broken.
Precisely. When AI misuse or traditional cheating is suspected, the first step recommended is always empathy and a non-punitive initial approach.
Empathy first.
Empathy first. Address the student directly, privately, and with an open mind. The primary focus should be on understanding what might have motivated the shortcuts. Was it overwhelm? A misunderstanding of the rules? A perceived lack of time? Maybe personal issues? And then educating them about the principles of integrity and their long-term consequences, rather than solely moving straight to punishment.
It's a conversation, not an accusation.
Ideally, yes. This doesn't mean there are no consequences. Universities have policies for that, but that the primary goal of the instructor's interaction is restorative and educational, fostering growth rather than just retribution. Responses to misconduct must also be fairly and clearly communicated to all students, perhaps in anonymous aggregated terms, to avoid rumors and misconceptions spreading.
Transparency matters.
Consistency and transparency build trust, even in challenging moments of addressing misconduct. And finally, instead of just scrapping cheat-prone assignments in frustration.
Which can feel tempting.
It can. Instructors should try to iterate and improve them, ideally with student input. This signals that the learning goal is paramount, and the assignment itself can evolve to better serve that goal, rather than just being discarded. It shows a commitment to finding solutions.
Okay.
All these proactive and responsive strategies, they really require an ongoing commitment from instructors to staying current and adapting.
So what does this all mean for the practical day-to-day of teaching, especially with AI evolving so quickly that, what works today might be obsolete tomorrow? The book really provides a clear roadmap for instructors and even institutions to stay current and effective in this ever-changing landscape.
Indeed. It's fundamentally about building in regular cycles of review, reflection, and open communication to ensure that policies and practices remain relevant and effective. You can't set it and forget it. The ninth insight is about regularly revisiting and updating course policies and assessments. Faculty need to stay incredibly current as AI tools evolve rapidly. What was considered an effective or secure assessment method last semester might be entirely different this semester due to new AI capabilities.
Things change fast.
Incredibly fast. Therefore, policies and assessment methods should be revisited frequently, maybe even mid-semester, for online courses to reflect technological change and maintain relevance and fairness.
So syllabi can't just be copy-pasted year after year anymore. That static approach simply won't work in this dynamic environment, will it?
Not if you want them to be truly effective and fair in this new age, no.
Yeah.
For practical application, regular policy update cycles are essential. Syllabi should, ideally, be revised every single semester to reflect new technologies and integrate explicit AI clauses that clarify expectations.
Keep it fresh.
Keep it fresh. This ensures ongoing clarity and communicates to students that you, as the instructor, are aware of the changing landscape and are adapting proactively. Along with that, continuous assessment realignment is crucial. Assignments must be reviewed regularly to ensure each maps directly onto genuine learning outcomes, rather than becoming merely busy work.
Back to avoiding busy work.
Always back to that. As Rettinger repeatedly emphasized, they love doing things that mean something to them, and they don't like busy work. If an assignment isn't serving a clear, meaningful learning purpose, it remains a prime candidate for AI shortcuts no matter what policies you have in place.
That makes perfect sense. If it's just a tedious task, AI becomes another efficient tool to complete it. But if it's deeply meaningful, students are far more likely to engage authentically. Now, the 10th and final insight, which feels like it ties everything together, maintaining transparent and multimodal communication about integrity.
Yes, ongoing dialogue is absolutely critical. Integrity isn't a topic to be announced once at the beginning of the semester in the syllabus and then forgotten. Faculty should utilize various channels, email announcements, dedicated discussion forums, in-class announcements, and importantly, one-on-one meetings to clarify expectations, answer student questions, and engage in deeper conversations about integrity and responsible AI use.
Multiple touch points.
Multiple touch points. This repetition and varied approach ensure the message is not just heard, but understood and internalized. Rubric transparency is also vital here, as we touched on. Grading criteria should be shared up front, and ideally, for some assignments, maybe even co-developed with students.
Co-developed rubrics. Interesting.
It can be very powerful. This active participation in defining evaluation standards reduces perceptions of arbitrary judgment and significantly incentivizes effort toward genuine learning outcomes. When students know exactly what's expected of them and how their work will be evaluated, it fosters a profound sense of fairness and purpose.
And it sounds like this isn't solely an individual instructor's responsibility. The institution as a whole has a critical role to play in fostering this culture, right?
Absolutely. Beyond the individual instructor, the sources strongly suggest the importance of robust faculty professional development. Departments should regularly host roundtables, workshops, informal discussions focused specifically on academic integrity and emerging technologies like AI.
Keeping faculty up to date.
Yes. This keeps the entire instructor community flexible, informed, and equipped, allowing them to share best practices, discuss new challenges, and collectively adapt their pedagogical approaches. It's a continuous learning process for everyone involved in higher education, not just the students. So based on all these insights, here are 10 crucial questions for you, the instructor, to ask yourself about AI use in your online class. These aren't meant to be easy answers, but really prompts for deep reflection and continuous improvement. 1. How am I actively engaging students in meaningful conversations about AI use and academic integrity, moving beyond just dictating rules to fostering genuine understanding and collaboration? 2. Are my AI policies clear, context-specific to each assignment, and regularly updated to reflect the rapidly evolving capabilities of the technology? 3. Can I clearly articulate to my students how every policy and every assessment directly relates to and contributes to their specific learning goals for this course? 4. Are my assessments thoughtfully designed to foster genuine learning, critical thinking, and the application of knowledge? Or are they susceptible to easy AI shortcuts that bypass true understanding? 5. Am I providing ample opportunities for students to revise their work, receive constructive feedback, and take genuine ownership of their learning process through iterative assignments and low-stakes practice? 6. How can I transform students' natural tendency to collaborate with peers into structured, ethical, and pedagogically sound learning experiences that deepen their understanding? 7. Am I actively building a classroom culture of trust and mutual respect where students feel psychologically safe to discuss challenges, ask questions about integrity, and learn from mistakes without immediate fear of punitive action? 8. Am I communicating consistently and clearly about academic integrity expectations, using multiple modalities and reinforcing the why across all course platforms and interactions? 9. When I suspect AI misuse or any other form of academic misconduct, do I prioritize understanding the student's motivation and educating them about the broader implications, rather than moving solely and immediately to punishment? And 10. Am I actively staying current with AI developments, researching best practices, and continuously refining my teaching practices and policies to adapt to this evolving technological landscape?
Wow. What an illuminating deep dive into the profound insights of the opposite of cheating. It's so clear that navigating academic integrity in the age of AI isn't about rigid enforcement or playing endless games of whack-a-mole with technology. Instead, it's about a fundamental reorientation, fostering an environment where learning true, authentic, and deeply meaningful learning is the ultimate guiding goal. It really is a paradigm shift away from policing and towards a genuine partnership with our students.
Exactly. By recentering the classroom on relevance, by giving students genuine agency over their learning, and by cultivating a culture of integrity rather than one based on surveillance and fear, instructors can transform what might seem like a really daunting challenge into a powerful opportunity.
An opportunity.
Yes, an opportunity to create deeper, more meaningful learning experiences for everyone involved. An opportunity to encourage students to embrace the inherent value of knowledge and the joy of genuine discovery, which is, far more enduring and valuable than any shortcut AI might offer.
It certainly gives you a lot to mull over, doesn't it? How will you integrate these insights into your own approach to teaching and learning, especially as AI continues to evolve so quickly? That's our deep dive for today. Join us next time as we unpack another stack of sources and extract the most important nuggets of knowledge for you.